Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. So in the Netherlands, they have introduced a passport. They did this on September the 25th, similar to Ireland and New York and a few other places, which means the authorities want restaurants, pubs, bars in the Netherlands to only accept people who have jab passports. Yeah, that nonsense. So in the media, there is a lot of talk in the Netherlands about this specific vegan restaurant in the city of Utrecht that is refusing to accept these policies because rightly they don't want to discriminate against people based on whether or not they've got a passport. Okay, so here we see this story, and I've got a few questions about this story. I find it a bit curious, as no matter what country you're in, you should always question everything now you see in the mainstream press. But first, let's have a look at this, right? So it says 50 protesters, it says here, arrested at Waku Waku restaurant. So as you can see, there's been protests outside the restaurant. There's been protesters arrested. Here's a photo of some. I mean, she doesn't look too perturbed about getting arrested, does she? Yeah? And these protests are still continuing because it has now been reported that the mayor of Utrecht has ordered now for the restaurant to be closed for refusing to scan QR codes. So this is all obviously wrong, closing down people's livelihoods because they don't want to discriminate against people. And the only way to fight back is for people to stand against this, to unite against it. That's the only way. Mass non-compliance. They can't enforce these policies if nobody agrees to it. It's very simple. If every bar and restaurant say no, we are not doing it, what are they going to do? Close them all down? I don't think so. But what I don't understand with this story is, why is it only this restaurant that is getting featured in the Dutch mainstream? I mean, put it this way. Utrecht in the Netherlands is a big city. It has 1.3 million people living there. There must be hundreds of bars and restaurants. Am I to believe that this restaurant is the only restaurant/bar in Utrecht that is refusing to scan codes? This is the only one out of hundreds of bars and restaurants? Are all the other bars and restaurants just going along with this? This is the only one who's saying, no, we're not going to do it? I find that a bit odd if that's the case. Now, I'm not suggesting that it is the case, but looking at the way the media work and how, like I've said before, nothing appears in the mainstream media by accident, is this being talked about in the media because they want to highlight a place that doesn't follow the rules so they can then say, make an example of it, close it down? Oh, look what we've done to these people because they didn't follow the rules, in order to frighten the other restaurants and bars to go along with these orders. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's what I've come away thinking when I was told about this story, and then I see it mentioned all over the Dutch news. People have the power, and if you refuse, if restaurants and bars unite and refuse these laws, they will back off. And yet here we see in the Dutch mainstream all this focus on this one restaurant. And news stories like this one that talk about how the police... I mean, look, I'll quote this report. It starts off and it says, with a great show of force, the mobile police unit is busy putting an end to the demonstration in front of the vegan restaurant Waku Waku. That's how the report starts off. So, look, I don't know. I'm not in the Netherlands. If you are in the Netherlands, if you are in Utrecht, is Waku Waku the only bar and restaurant out of hundreds that refuses to scan QR codes? Out of hundreds of restaurants and bars? Or are there loads of bars and restaurants that are standing against it, and this one is being highlighted in order to make an example of them and publicise that in the mainstream media in order to frighten all of the other pubs and restaurants into complying? Okay, let us know in the comments what you think. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com, a place for like-minded souls who don't follow the fake stream media.